ShawnaBader Blau, Executive Director of the Solidarity Center. Shauna?
Brothers and sisters, thank you. I'm ShawnaBader Blau, and I'm the Executive Director of the AFL-CIO Solidarity Center. And it's an honor to be here, especially on this day when we're talking about winning for all workers everywhere. Brothers and sisters, now more than ever, we face enormous challenges that go right to the heart of our right to work an honest day for a fair wage with dignity. This is as true in the United States as it is around the world, where the Solidarity Center fights every day for working women and men trying to earn a living with the deck stacked against them. And the stakes are high. You know, in the world today, 7 out of 10 people live in a country that has seen a rise in inequality in the last 30 years. More than half the world's workers are in the informal economy with no benefits, regular hours, or decent wages. 82 countries exclude workers from labor law, including the right to form unions, and more than half of all countries deny some or all workers collective bargaining. Worker rights activists were murdered in 11 countries in recent years. In Guatemala alone, a country right here in our hemisphere and where we have a free trade agreement called CAFTA, trade unionists were murdered over the last 9 years about every 2 months with total impunity. And globally, women earn 30% of what men earn for equal work. It'll take 170 years for women to be paid the same as men at this rate. Women earn only 10% of income and own 1% of property. The truth is, labor rights are the most frequently violated set of human rights around the world. But it doesn't have to be this way. The deadliest structural failure in modern history was the collapse of the Rana Plaza garment factory in Bangladesh in 2013. Several thousand workers were faced with losing a month's wages or going back into a building they knew to be unsafe because they had no union to protect them, no right to refuse unsafe work. Nearly 1,100 workers returned to the factory floor, and they died that day. But a year later in Bangladesh, I met a young woman garment worker who had become a union organizer with the support of the Solidarity Center. She told me that now she can sit across the table and negotiate wages and working conditions with the same kind of boss who, before, callously threatened her with rape if she asked that her overtime be paid, because he now has to see her as his equal. Freedom of association in Bangladesh, embattled and under attack though it is, and her union gave that woman dignity and power, because workers can win. Black workers in Colombian ports fought historic disenfranchisement and built unions out of day labor jobs. Migrant domestic workers in Kenya organized and won a minimum wage for millions. Young workers in call centers in Morocco now have decent work because they fought anti-union discrimination and won. And just in the last few weeks, thousands of Honduran garment workers won collective bargaining in unions led entirely by women. We are honored to be a part of those struggles. Sisters and brothers, workers everywhere win when we have a deliberate agenda of inclusion for our labor movement and when we fight for our right to form unions. And the Solidarity Center with you and the dozens of unions and the millions of workers we can all call allies. We'll double down on that over the next 20 years and make sure that happens. Thank you. And now it is my distinct honor and pleasure to introduce Jim Boland, my friend and a rare leader, champion of workers everywhere, Jim Boland, President of the Bricklayers.